This is America's first extremely long-range intercontinental strategic bomber in 3 decades, a 6th-generation stealth aircraft that can carry both nuclear and conventional weapons, operate in both manned and unmanned modes, control a swarm of drones, and conduct electronic attacks. All eyes are on the spotlight of today's video, the $200 billion B-21 Raider, the first prototypes of which will be presented as early as December 2022. This new aircraft will be the successor to the B-2 Spirit bomber, which was introduced to the US Air Force back in November 1988, and its very first flight took place the following year. That is, the B-21 will become the first American bomber of the 21st century, hence the number 21 in the title, and not B-3, as many expected. The word radar has been a tribute to the historic Doolittle Raiders of US military aviation, who, in 16 B-25 Mitchell bombers, carried out a daring raid and made the first attack on Japanese territory during World War II. This happened on April 18, 1942, and significantly raised the morale of the Americans. The project started on October 27, 2015, as part of the LRS-B Long Range Strike Bomber program. The US Air Force had signed a contract with Northrop Grumman. They had beat out Boeing-Lockheed Martin's joint project in the competition. Through the program, Northrop Grumman works with Pratt & Whitney, Janicki Industries, Collins Aerospace, GKN Aerospace, BAE Systems, and Spirit AeroSystems. The development of the project is led by the US Air Force Rapid Supply Department under the leadership of the Deputy Secretary of Defense for Acquisition and Supply and the Secretary of the Air Force. The new aircraft will be built at the same Plant 42 in Palmdale, California, where its B-2 predecessor was in the 1980s and 1990s. Also, part of the production lines were used to design the fuselage of the F-35. The remaining production facilities were specifically cleared for work on the project. This plant has a reputation for conspiracy theories like Area 51 due to the number of covert programs being developed and tested in the 5.8 hectares of the plant in the desert. The site is home to Lockheed Martin's Skunk Works, which has been responsible for building some of the most famous experimental aircraft on the planet, including the U-2 reconnaissance aircraft and the SR-71 Blackbird. There is also equipment that is used to test NASA aircraft, such as the Stratospheric Observatory for Infrared Astronomy, SOFIA aircraft, which uses an infrared telescope to observe astronomical phenomena. 3 years after the start of the B-21 Raider project, the design of the vehicle and the designs of weapon systems were approved, and a design maturity assessment was carried out. All this is still kept in the strictest confidence. In 2019, strategic bases were identified: Ellsworth Air Force Base as the main one, South Dakota, Whiteman Air Force Base, Missouri, and Dice Air Force Base, Texas. Northrop Grumman said 6 units are currently in production. In February 2022, the first B-21 bomber rolled off the production line into a calibration facility, where it will be tested to ensure the aircraft's design meets Air Force requirements. The company's digital design capabilities and advanced manufacturing technologies will also be validated there. The quality of the subsystems will also be checked and the paint will be applied to its coating. The next steps will include running engine runs, as well as testing the operation of the steering systems at ultra-low and ultra-high speeds. Additionally, the maximum volumes of loads will be determined. The customers set the task for the developer to maximize the aircraft's payload capacity so that it can carry a wide range of weapons within the modern spectrum and potential upgrades in the future. The first test launch of the bomber is planned for after completing all checks and testing. There are plans for this to happen as early as the first week of December 2022, despite the fact that it was originally scheduled for 2023. The aircraft are expected to enter combat duty in the mid-2020s. In total, within the framework of the project, the US Air Force already plans to purchase at least 100 units. For fiscal year 2023, the US Air Force has requested $5 billion. Note that the unit purchase price in 2019 was $639 million. According to the plan, the device must first replace the B-1 and B-2 bombers. There is also the possibility that the B-52 Stratofortress long-range bomber will be retired in the future. There are still some big questions about the future of the B-2. In 2018, the US Air Force announced that the B-2 Spirit and its predecessor, the B-1 Lancers, will be decommissioned in the early 2030s when the B-21 project is fully operational. However, after a more thorough review of its doctrine, the US Air Force decided that by 2030 they would instead need to increase the number of bomber operations from 9 to 14. Military Command said that they'll continue assessment of the plans and structures of the bomber force. Older regulations required the B-2 to be upgraded every 7 years, but advances in technology have made it possible to complete a rebuild process every 9 years. Nevertheless, the B-2 is still too early to write off. This has also been indicated by the fact that from 2017 to 2018, the mission capability indicator of the project increased from about 54 to 61%. The Air Force plans to upgrade the B-2 with a whole suite of new hardware and software known as the Defensive Management System, but only 3 bombers are currently under contract, one of which has undergone modifications. The combat effectiveness of the B-2 was proven during Operation Allied Force, where it was responsible for destroying 33% of all Yugoslav targets in the first 8 weeks, flying directly to Kosovo from its base in Missouri and back. In support of Operation Enduring Freedom, the B-2 flew one of the longest missions to date from Whiteman to Afghanistan and back. The B-2 completed its first ever combat deployment in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom, flying 22 missions from the forward operating site, 27 sorties from Whiteman AFB, and firing over 1.5 million pounds of ammunition. The aircraft received full operational capability status in December of 2003. Surely, a lot of the characteristics of the B-2 Spirit will be embodied in a modernized form in the 6th generation aircraft. The B-21 Raider program is the backbone of the US Air Force's operational imperative to create a family of effective long-range strike systems that can guarantee the ability to strike any target, anytime, anywhere, even in the most difficult conditions. The device's manufacturer, Northrop Grumman, says that the B-21 Raider will be capable of penetrating the toughest defenses for precision strikes anywhere in the world, and calls it the future of the deterrence force. So far, due to the extreme secrecy with the project, very little is known about its technical characteristics, in particular, information about its design speed. It's believed that it'll most likely still be subsonic. The exact types of weapons and structural elements are also classified. Here's what we do know so far. The B-21 Raider will be able to use a wide combination of ammunition for direct strikes and bombardments. It's assumed that it can carry both nuclear and conventional weapons, can operate in manned and unmanned modes, is a stealth-type aircraft, can perform the functions of a control vehicle for a swarm of drones. Additionally, special attention was paid to its electronic equipment. The B-21 is being developed with an open system architecture to reduce the risk of integration and provide competition for future modernization efforts to allow the aircraft to evolve with the changing threat environment. Northrop Grumman paid great attention to the further advancement of digital engineering within the framework of the B-21 project. The software is to be conducive to continuous updating in accordance with the challenges facing the project during its life cycle. In early 2022, Northrop Grumman and the BBC successfully demonstrated the transfer of data from B-21 ground systems to the cloud. This demonstration included the development, deployment, and testing of the B-21 datasets, including a B-21 digital twin supporting B-21 operations and support. This successful test showed that the area of ground systems could be significantly reduced in major operating bases and deployment packages. This approach will provide the benefits of availability and readiness for operation and support. After a thorough analysis of the economic efficiency of the project, it was decided to abandon the production of an unmanned version of the aircraft, Instead, it was decided to attach it to the project of an unmanned drone control system paired with the F-35. Air Force Chief of Staff General C. Brown, referencing the expectations concerning the project, stated, "The quality of the aircraft's design, combined with the design of an open systems architecture and built-in reserve for future growth, will provide our fighters with the competitive advantage we will need to contain current and future conflicts, as well as to fight and win if need be. All processes necessary for the production of the aircraft are continuing in the strictest confidence. For this, unprecedented security measures are being taken, which we decided not to ignore. The Air Force directly maintains the project's security infrastructure, and the plant itself is surrounded by a 2-layer fence with barbed wire. Any and all moving of technical samples for the complex are carried out in the dark. The plant has a geofence that knocks out small drones that could fly over a normal fence and take a photo or video. One interesting fact is that despite the extreme secrecy measures, strange things have still happened around the locations of the aircraft production facilities. For example, a few months ago, a man whose car ran out of fuel tried to climb over the fence of Plant 42, hoping to find a gas station. Also, within a 2-week span, there were 3 accidents, as a result of which the cars crashed into the fence enclosing the plant. However, officials from the Air Force's Office of Special Investigations believe that all of these incidents are unrelated and are a series of accidents. Well, that's all for today. Will the designers really be able to create something completely unique and super modern, or just a modernized B-2? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell for more content like today's. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.